All right. So, Salakia, I'm back. So, just wanted to go a little bit more into the word equity really quick, or upright, which is interchangeable, pretty practically the same thing. And the words I wanted to draw out is kindness and moderation from here, because you see, these principles being used by David at an early age, you know. And so, in a sense, we want to understand and capture these same qualities. Okay, equity, quality of being equal or fair, impartiality. All right, in dealing with others. Let's go into this word impartial. All right, freedom from bias. All right, and you can be biased through what respected persons, and that we understand that this thing ain't based on our emotions and what we feel about something, So a part of being upright is what? Not being biased, you know. Okay, of course, if it's we can be biased for the truth, because the truth is pure, you know. It says in dealing with others, all right, and these are the traits that the prince has to show. Yashar has to show. So teach equity, okay. Hopefully it's making sense again, Salaki. All right, it says equality, uniformity. I like this word too. Uniformity, uniform. It says a condition in which everything is regular and unvarying. All right, quality of lacking diversity or variation. And we can use that in the sense of doctrine, the teachings. All right, we don't have to be diverse, because again, this is we don't have to vary as well. It says of one form down here, uniform, having only one. What it says, having only one form or shape. All right, and I guess you can apply this to being yourself. Being yourself and not all over the place, so to speak. Conformity, of course, that's with the truth. All right. Similarity, corresponding in form or manner. Let's see. Similar in shape, to fashion, to form, and that's what we are. We're part of a ministries, right? So, shape, adequate, or educate. Excuse me. Modify. Together. That's a good one. All right. Okay. Conformity. Let's go back. Equity, symmetry. All right. There's another good word. Being in line, relation of parts, proportions. All right. Agreement in dimensions. Due proportion, arrangement. So having a common measure, even proportionate. And we can apply that to having the same doctrine, or being of one mind. Okay. It says fairness. We know what that means. Equal rights, not in a modern sense, but just being fair and balanced with everyone and everything, and not being biased. Okay, because of respect of persons, what have you. It says kindness, moderation. All right, and we got to use those qualities as well, because you know that's how David moved. Even Yahweh. Okay, and that's one toward another. Speaking amongst the brotherhood, courtesy, noble deeds. All right, meaningless, and in a sense, these are sort of the fruits of the spirit. It says kind deeds, kind feelings, quality, habit, or of being kind. All right, and then I think I put in my notes. I said, don't be a contentious. What I say? Don't be an immature. Don't be immature bastards and contentious pricks. All right, because it's easy to be that way one to another. All right. And we're not called into this thing to just be, assholes. All right. We got to put on as the elect, you know, moving with meekness, lowly of mind, one toward another, being subject one toward another, not being contentious with another, not playing all the damn time with one another, but being serious and being straightforward, not being biased, you know. Also, you don't have to always be against everything. You ain't got to be an adversary toward everything. You can flow, you can be smooth in the spirit, you know. Again, Lord willing, this is making sense. It says even, just, equal. So, all right, Yashar. Okay, Yashar. All right, so let's look at David. This is 1 Samuel 18:1. It says, and it came to pass when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's house. All right. So this was life changing for David as well, after he slew Goliath, I believe. Okay. It says, then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword and to his bow and to his girdle. So he gave him everything that he had, and that shows you what? Hey, Jonathan, had a very, upright spirit about him. Okay. He was a young prince. He was Yashar. Okay. He's being fair and equitable. And of course, above all things, he loved David as his own, as his own soul. And that's how we're supposed to move, in this truth. Okay. It says, and David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and he behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. Right. So David being taken from his home and basically being made captains of men of war. Okay. He was made a captain of men of war. Okay. So this is definitely a change in David's life, but what it says he behaved himself wisely. Okay. And what is it to be wise? Okay. Because Jay, we talk about the scriptures all the time. And a lot of times you see Jake don't apply what they, are so adept at when explaining, Hey, I'm not perfect. I've done some cringing things. I always look back at everything I do every day, and examine exactly what I do when I'm with brothers. I'm always examining, okay, did I say that right? Did I do this right? And at times, if you keep it balanced, and if you're watching what you're doing, all right, and considerate of what you're doing, all right, these are important traits, because of course we can do stuff that we don't mean to because of the flesh or whatever the case mean. Salaki. So wise, okay, learned, all right, learn what? We learn how to have, use manners. We know what manners are, all right, okay. We know what discretion is, So it says learn, sagacious, cunning, sane. Look at these words are nice. Let's look up learn. Having knowledge gained by study, of course. And that's what we do. It says study, to show thyself approved. Okay, so we got to study these things. And what Proverbs say, what? 1:1. That these things are what? It's for us. Okay, I'm gonna read it again in the NLT, Proverbs 1:1. These are the Proverbs of Solomon and David's son, king of Israel. Their purpose is to teach people wisdom and discipline to help them understand the insights of the wise. All right, and that's what the scriptures are here for, so that we, attain, okay, and get the wisdom of the wise, man. All right, the insights of the wise, okay, because this thing is supposed to make us disciplined, all right, and balanced, man. Okay, that's what we learn when we reading stories about David. We're looking at his mannerisms, how he's holding himself, how he keeping himself, how is he dealing in the scripture, okay. And it says he behaved himself wisely, right? Why? Because he learned, he studied to know certain things, to know certain principles. Sagacious, all right. It says here of quick perception, okay. Let's see. All right, and I think Yashar was like that, witty, skillful in statecraft or management, observant and thoughtful. All right, the scriptures talk about be therefore circumspect. It says he was given to asking sagacious questions, observant, so acutely insightful and wise. All right, and of course that comes through, that experience. Salakia. It says sane, prudent, discreet. All right, experienced, having the power of discerning and judging rightly. All right, and these are all part of being upright as well, being that prince. Okay, so let's continue. Proverbs 1 and 2, it says their purpose is to teach people wisdom and discipline to help them understand the insights of the wise. Their purpose is to teach people to live disciplined and successful lives, to help them do what is right, just, and fair. And that's what these scriptures do. Okay. And David had it. David learned it. David applied it. Okay. All right. Da. That's why he's beloved. Okay. 1 Samuel 18:5. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. And it came to pass, as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played. It says Saul had slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s, and Saul was very wroth. All right, so this turning bad for David really fast. Okay, because again, if you're around somebody that's mightier than you, and which in this case is Saul for David, all right, you can show that strength, but it can drive somebody jealous, man. It can drive somebody jealous. So sometimes you have to be discretion. You see, but it wasn't David's fault. All right, so and sometimes you have to use discretion. But Salakia, it says, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. Oh, Salakia, and Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? You see, and Saul eyed David from that day and forward. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house, and David played with his hand as at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. All right. And this is David using wisdom. Okay. That's what it says. What? It says, the wise foreseeth the evil cometh, and they hide it themselves. Well, this can be applied in many situations. All right. And David applied it for himself here. Okay. It says, and Saul was afraid of David because the Lord Yahweh was with him and was departed from Saul. Okay. And therefore Saul removed him from him and made him his captain over 8,000. And he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways. And the Lord Yahweh was with him. Okay. So there's two things working for David. His behavior and the Lord. You see? That's a dynamic right there. Okay. All right, verse 15. Wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. All right. And when you please the Lord, you know, as the scripture says, I forget exactly. I know I'm going to butcher it. You know, you please the Lord. When you please the Lord will make your enemies your footstool, or something to the extent of that, you know. So we have to use wisdom in the sight of our enemies, and those that make themselves our enemies. We have to use discretion. We have to avoid certain, things, you know. And and you got to put it in the hands of the Lord, man. You know, that's a part of being meek as well. The Hebrew word inah. Okay. All right. Colossians 3 and 12. Colossians 3 and 12. And I was just putting, the first things that came to my mind. All right. Because there's a lot that goes into it. And it really comes with practice. And being mindful of the things that we're learning and trying to apply them in everyday situations, you know. It says, put on therefore as the elect of the Most High, holy and beloved. All right. Holy meaning separate or sanctified, which is the same thing. You know. And so we can't, in a sense, if we holy, we can't be like everybody else, you know. You got those certain Israelites who, do things to make themselves look like, 2/3 or what have you. You know, we want to be separate from that because what the Lord said, He took us out of the world. You know, it says, "Holy and beloved bowels of mercies." All right, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. All right. And these are the things that need to be applied to us daily. All right. And need to be mindful of these things so that you can exercise these things. All right. It says forbearing one another. Okay. It says in forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Hamashiach forgave you, so also do ye. All right. And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. All right. So being charitable is one of your biggest assets, your biggest tools within this ministry. All right. Colossians 3 and 12 in the NLT version, it says, since God chose you to be the holy people He loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy. All right. I mean, soft-hearted. All right. Mercy. All right. Also, pity towards others. Kindness. All right. I see a lot of times bros just be assholes to bros, especially when they're asking for something, man. Jake, move with fear, man. Don't tempt the Lord, man. By just being an asshole when you asking for something. Use meekness and humility. Well, it just said that humility. All right. Gentleness and patience. Okay. It says make allowance for each other's faults. Yeah, because we're going to mess up. As a righteous man falleth 7 times. All right. And we should know that. The Lord says, forgive your brother 7 times 70, and that's dealing with complete forgiveness. Now, there's a difference, if certain brothers are doing, the same old thing, same old stuff, of course, we got to act differently, The scriptures talk about two or three admonitions, reject a man, or, something to that extent. But I'm sure it ain't that extreme when it comes to brothers. All right. It says, and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you. So you must forgive others. Okay. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony. Okay. All right. And so we deal with love, that's dealing with, the commandments, of course. And one of the biggest commandments is treat, love your brother like you would love your own soul. And that's what Nathan did for David, man. He took off his clothes for David. All right. And I'm sure it was royal attire, Okay. Galatians 5:22. Lord willing, this is edifying again. Just wanted to touch on this. Galatians 5:22. I think this is giving you instructions and principles and how to use them. All right. Okay. If you don't know how to use them, pray that the Lord give you the perfect timing so you can, use these different qualities at the perfect time. All right. Galatians 5:22, straight to the point. It says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love. All right, which is a law, and the biggest law is what, loving your brother as you would love yourself. Okay. And if you use charity, you would never fail. Okay, because that shows, that. All right. It says joy, peace. All right. Long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. All right. And a lot of times, when we're around each other, sometimes we go overboard with the back and forth playing and all that crap. That's crap. Start using the gifts and the insight that the Lord is giving you by this knowledge to admonish, to exhort one another. I hate that Jacob, continue to keep playing, and then, you'll get contentious, because you're not using you're not using the right principles. All right. And these times that we're around each other. Okay. It says, meekness, temperance, against such there is no law. All right. So, hey, we use these to our advantage, not to just be around each other, just doing whatever. This is First Timothy. What was it, Slocky? 4:12. And it reads, it says, let no man despise thy youth. All right. But be thou an example of the believers. All right. And so the men that's in, position, a higher position, whatever, be an example of the believers. All right. In word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity. So you got to set the tone for the younger men in a sense. All right. It says, till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine. I notice when I'm riding in the car, brothers don't have anything to say, because Jake like to play around a lot. It's cool to play around a lot, but let's talk about what you read. All right. Okay. Because that's way more edifying. That's way more, fulfilling than, always being, let's see who can be the biggest asshole or say the most wittiest lines. No one cares for that. In this time out, as a child, we thought as a child, but, when we become men, we put away childish things. Okay. So let's put away those childish things, those old things. Okay. And of course, once we become more adept at being, using moderation and discretion, of course we can learn how to be, witty and, when we have in righteous conversation, let's practice on that instead of the carnal, the shit talking and all of that, or shooting the shit, as they say. 1 Timothy 4:12, and Yuslaki, I'm being candid, but it is what it is. 1 Timothy 4:12, in the NLT version, don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. I don't think that's what it means when it says let no man despise thy youth. All right, but it says be an example to all believers in what you say, in the way you live, in your love, your faith, and your purity. All right. And when we around each other, use these opportune times to be an example. All right. Because this ain't something we just, fly by night type of deal, or, we just put this on when it comes to going out on the highways and byways, but it's more so who you are outside of that. How charitable are you outside of that? Louisville in this lesson was edifying. Again, title is Teach Equity. All right. Fairness, discretion, moderation. Yashar, meaning basically to be upright. Teach meekness, inah, humility, which I ain't going too much into. All right. But, I use Matthew 11:29 to, they learn of me, the Lord, for he is meek. And when you look at Yahushua's walk, he shows meekness. He didn't go railing for railing, except when they made, his father's house a house of merchandise. So again, use meekness, a lowliness of mind, having, when you do have the contrite spirit, use that quality to, exhort. All right. It says, withal be ye holy. All right. Put ye therefore as the elect. All right. Use the fruits of the spirit. Okay. And that's pretty much what I was trying to, explain, use wisdom and all of that. And we got the perfect examples, David just being one. Lord willing, I can probably do another one. Shalom. Until next time, I say shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, salutations to Akim, pushing work and truth and sincerity. Shalom.